Hey, so I'm Ben Kuhn. Again, I came here from Audison, the Arlington Public Middle School. So I'd like to start with an anecdote that I think is especially illustrative of what has made Commonwealth so wonderful for me. A couple months ago, in the throes of the college process, I was having a really awful time. I was worried about where I would end up going. I was stressed out and I was losing some sleep. I dragged myself into Latin class one day, and I must have looked really awful because Mr. Connolly started looking at me worriedly. "Do you want to take a break?" he asked me. "We can catch you up later if you need." I considered it, but I realized that doing Latin with my classmates and Mr. Connolly would cheer me up way more than a break or almost anything else I could do with those 40 minutes. Sure enough, by the end of the period, my college anxieties were crowded out by lively discussions of folk motifs in Virgil, the historical system of Yeats, and social contract theories applied to Mr. Wharton's autocracy. I left Latin feeling buoyed up and refreshed. And that's what I love about Commonwealth, how warm and supportive everyone is. I didn't used to be an especially cheerful person by and large, and when I'm tired, sometimes I still backslide into grumpiness. But mostly, it's hard to stay gloomy for long around here. I remember one moment in my junior year, I was particularly and unreasonably frustrated with myself for messing up a piano piece in the winter concert. I was furiously moping at the wall when one of the then seniors snuck up behind me, gave me a big bear hug, and pressed some chocolate into my hand. I didn't know her that well. We'd only talked occasionally. But it didn't matter. She was happy to lend a hug anyway. That's another great thing about the community here. It doesn't matter who your group of friends is. You'll end up mixing with everyone sooner or later. This is why Commonwealth's small size is so great. It almost requires us to get to know each other better. I can't tell you how many times I've been thrown together with classmates through shared lunch jobs or cooking together at Hancock or sprawling free period talks on the landing and come away with some astonishing revelation about them. For instance, I used to be terrified of the old captain of my fencing squad. He was a rather prickly person in many senses. In most of my memories, he's either sitting in the second floor nook, looking judgmental, or poking me repeatedly with a foil while I vainly retreat and parry. But one of my biggest regrets of my sophomore year was that it was after he graduated I learned he was an anime fan and an inveterate classics geek, and also full of insights on just about everyone. I have plenty more stories in that vein. I know one of my classmates is a great pianist because during a free period, I tracked down the source of the Super Mario theme song I was hearing. I've seen the most unexpected people pull crazy dance moves at Hancock. I went to another classmate's house for a project and discovered that the walls were covered in her beautiful oil paintings, and on and on. And this continual learning is all possible because of how freely people here suspend their judgment. At the beginning of every year, I notice various groups of new ninth graders who rub each other the wrong way a little. I'm sure, for instance, that my pedantry and caveman-style hair put off my share of freshman classmates. In the beginning, I worried that for the next 4 years, I'd be trapped in that niche of nitpicking smart aleck that I'd carved out for myself. But after a couple false starts and dramatically appropriate haircuts, I think I can say that I've dispelled that poor first impression. And similarly, I've come to respect my classmates with whom I didn't immediately get along, and how they've changed over the past 4 years. Of course, hidden personalities aren't the only thing I've learned from my classmates. One of my closest friends reads a prodigious amount of philosophy and literature, for example. Just through my conversations with him, on the bus or in the halls, I've picked up not only the basics of the Western canon, but essential debating skills, how to reduce a disagreement to a small kernel of conflict, to define your terms clearly, to step around arguments of definitions or semantics. Other friends have introduced me to new kinds of music or literature. One of my first memories of Commonwealth is hearing a group of fellow freshmen discuss the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, which I read and immediately fell in love with. Yet others have inspired me to get even more out of my classes, or taught me life lessons like how to slow down when I'm stressed. And on, I could list some way that I've come out the better from every one of my classmates. As I look back on Commonwealth, I think that's what has been most valuable for me. Not only are the students here a fantastic group of people, but the small, close-knit environment fosters a friendly and welcoming atmosphere. Sharing my learning with friends, not just teachers, being able to be myself without some constructed persona, realizing my classmates are even more amazing than they seemed at first. These are what have made my 4 years here truly special. Thank you.